For Aquatint, here I am in the acid room, and I'm going to be using the Aquatint box. That's this thing that you've been looking at for all the previous part of the semester. So I've talked about the rosin dust. That's what this is. This is Damar varnish rosin that's been ground into a very fine powder. And you can see that it is all over on the inside of this box. And down there's this giant brush that will turn, and we turn that by cranking this thing here, and that will send all of that dust up into the air of this box, which goes up quite a ways, right? It goes up there, and then we're gonna put our plates in here, and the dust is gonna slowly fall onto the plate, distributing this nice, perfect distribution of the rosin particles across my plate. Now, ideally, we're looking for 50% coverage, non-clumping. So that means literally 50% of the copper plate surface is covered by these tiny particles, and 50% is uncovered in the spaces between the particles. Every little particle will act as a stop out for the acid. So the acid will etch between all of the particles. Now, every time we use it, we need to add a little bit of fresh rosin. So that's what I'm going to start with here. I have pulled down from this shelf up here, this coffee grinder. And I have also pulled down this can right here that is called Rosin Lump. I'm going to set the phone down while I open up this can. All right, so that's the lump rosin. You can see it's just these chunks of amber looking liquid that's been crystallized. This is tree sap, essentially, and it is the same kind of substance that for hundreds and thousands of years has been used to make varnish, like for wood. So this dissolves in denatured alcohol, as well as other solvents, and then you can apply it with a brush as a varnish. So I placed just a few lumps in there. I probably have too much. Let's do just those 3. I don't want to add too much at a time to the Aquatint box. I just want to add a little bit, because only a little bit gets used up with each one. The on button got stuck there. And I guess the easier way to transport that over to the box is to flip it around, tap it, and then open it up and use the lid. So I'm going to set the phone down for a moment. So that's quite a bit. I might not add all of that. So I'm going to reach in about in the center and tap that. So I've left about half of what I ground. I'll do a little tiny bit more. So now I've left a third to maybe a little bit more than a third of what I ground. This I'll put carefully back onto there, and the next person can use that. Okay, I do need, when I'm done, I need to make sure this stays cleaned up. So I'll do that in a moment. So having tapped that in, I also grab this stick up top, and I want to tap on the dowels. That gets a bunch of rosin that's sitting on those dowels to drop. I can also tap like this. That's going to make rosin drop from around the box. And if you look at the sloped sides there and there, I can also tap those and get quite a bit of the rosin to drop. Okay, stick goes back up top. Now I'm going to close this door, latch it like that. Now I'm going to crank. I'm going to crank for 30 seconds. That is going to send up all those rosin particles into the air in the box. And at that point, I want to wait precisely 45 seconds. Now, why do I wait an additional 45 seconds? Because so 30 seconds cranking, that's going to send all these particles into the air, and that's particles of all sorts of different sizes, including some really big ones. The big ones are going to fall first. I want to allow those largest particles to fall before I put the plate in. So if I put the plate in immediately, two things could happen. One, my Aquatint will be too coarse because I'll have a bunch of really large particles stuck to the surface of the plate. And two, there's a danger of having too much Aquatint on the plate, which would be a greater than 50% coverage of the surface. So to repeat, crank for 30 seconds just to get everything up into the air. Then wait 45 seconds. Then I'm going to open the door and I'm going to slide in the plate. And notice that the plate is sitting on another spare plate. We have various plates in there. You want one that is at least, I'd say, 1.5 inches larger than your copper plate in every direction. That's critical. If I set the copper plate directly on the dowels in the box, the dowels affect the way air movement happens inside the box, and it makes the air flow around the dowels. What will happen is I will get an uneven distribution of Aquatint across the plate. So where the plate is touching a dowel, there'll be no Aquatint there because the air is moving around the dowel. So you prevent that by having your copper on a spare plate that is significantly larger than your plate. That whole thing is going to go in there, okay? I'm going to crank for 30 seconds. Okay, I think that was less than 30, but that's got to be one of the more hilarious video demo moments I've ever done. So now I wait 45 seconds and I'm using the timer on there. I guess I really could stop this.